I sponsored the girl who collected trash in the neighborhood, yet she bullied my daughter at school, leading to my daughter's suicide by jumping off a building. Then, in the middle of the night, she turned on the gas to create the illusion that I had committed suicide. She shamelessly occupied my house and squandered my savings. After being reborn, I watched her standing at the door with tears in her eyes. "Auntie, it's so cold outside. Can I stay here for the night?" The moment my soul left my body, I even suspected that I had died from a sudden heartbreak, but upon seeing the tightly closed doors and windows and the open gas valve, I realized I had died from gas poisoning. The door clicked open, and Sang Roa, the girl I had sponsored, walked in wearing a mask. I screamed with all my might to run, but I was just a soul, and Sang Roa couldn't hear me. The next moment, something shocking happened. Sang Roa calmly approached my bedside, checked my breath and pulse, and upon confirming my death, a satisfied smile appeared on her face, then calmly turned off the gas valve, opened the windows for ventilation, and dialed the fire department and hospital. After doing all this, she stuffed a letter into my soon-to-be stiff hand. "Auntie, don't blame me for all this, you should blame your cheap daughter, Lin Lin. Even when I threatened her with her nude photos, she still refused to persuade you to add me to your family's household registration. I just wanted to scare her a bit. Who knew she would jump off the building? She's so cowardly. I know, she didn't want me to share your property. She's so selfish." In my heart, Sang Roa was the most obedient child, but now, her vicious appearance seems like she's possessed by a demon, making people tremble with fear. "Auntie, since Lin Lin is already dead and you still refuse to treat me as your own daughter, I can only send you down to accompany her." After doing this, she screamed and ran out of the house. Her heartbroken cries alarmed the entire neighborhood. 3 days later, at the memorial service at the funeral home, the lawyer read out the will I had signed. "The house and all savings go to Sang Roa." My parents, who had already settled abroad, couldn't bear the shock and fell ill, and no one pursued the matter of my inheritance. From then on, Sang Roa moved into my house and spent my savings with a clear conscience. My hatred soared, shattering the lights in the morning hall. Opening my eyes again, I found myself lying on that soft, large bed once more. A faint knocking at the door woke me up. Checking the time on my phone, I realized I had been reborn exactly 1 week before my daughter's suicide. In my previous life, my daughter Lin Lin's suicide by jumping off a building left me utterly heartbroken. The first thing I must do after being reborn is to give her a warm, heartfelt hug. Opening the door to my daughter's room, I found her sitting on the floor like a little quail. She was huddled, covering her ears, tears streaming uncontrollably down her face. The knocking sounded like a death knell, terrifying her. I cursed myself for being so foolish. Why hadn't I noticed my daughter's distress earlier, instead of letting Sang Roa bully her to the point of jumping to her death? Having a mother yet being unable to rely on her, how desperate she must feel. I held her in my arms and comforted her for a while, but the knocking grew louder, like a death knell. Unable to delay any longer, I had to go open the door. When I opened the door, Sang Roa's eyes were misty with tears, and she looked at me with eager anticipation. "Auntie, my mom won't let me go home, and it's so cold at the garbage station. Can I stay here for the night?" Her face was pale, and she kept rubbing her hands, which were red from the cold. Her voice was soft and trembling, each detail showing me just how pitiful and vulnerable she was. I often let Sang Roa stay at my house, so by all logic, I shouldn't refuse a request like this. The venomous gaze from her past life slowly merged with the gentle and pitiful appearance before me. I would no longer allow this venomous snake to spy on everything that is mine. I forced a smile, trying my best to make my voice sound gentle. "Ruoruo, my aunt has the flu, which is highly contagious. I'm afraid you can't stay at our house. You should try to find another place to stay." I slammed the door shut with a loud bang, because I was afraid that in the next second, I might not be able to resist the urge to beat her to death. After closing the door, I observed her through the peephole. Sure enough, her expression changed from the previous pitiful look to one of sinister and terrifying. Then, she took out her phone from her pocket and started typing messages. That phone was the one I bought for her, priced at 6,999 yuan, the same model as the one I bought for my daughter, originally. She used this phone to take nude photos of Lin Lin and then threatened her. After sending the message, she lay down right at the door. I was wondering what she was up to when I saw my daughter come out of the room. Her complexion was even paler than Sang Roa's, who had been standing outside in the cold. "Mom, is it Roa who's here? Let her in, I'm a bit scared, and I'd like her to keep me company." I suddenly understood. Turns out, she had just sent a message to threaten Lin Lin. asking Lin Lin to speak up for her so she could get in. She lay at the door, planning to wait until I opened it and saw her pitiful state. That way, I would feel guilty and be even kinder to her. This trick, she used countless times in my past life, and every single time I fell for it. In this life, I won't be that foolish anymore. I took my daughter's hand and raised my voice at the door, making sure Sang Roa outside could hear. Lin Lin, mommy is sick and can't pass it on to Ruoruo, so she can't stay with you. My daughter was so anxious she was on the verge of tears. But I had a nightmare, and I want someone to stay with me. I held my daughter close, tears nearly falling from my eyes. Sang Roa had threatened her. She must have been terrified. I patted her back to comfort her. Roa is the most sensible child. She won't make things difficult for her mother. She'll find a place to sleep on her own and won't worry me. I said this for Roa to hear. If she sleeps at the door again and I see her, it would mean she's not sensible and is making things difficult for me. To maintain a good image in my mind, she certainly wouldn't persist. I held my daughter in one arm while peering through the peephole. Sure enough, after hearing the conversation between my daughter and me, Sang Roa scrambled up from the ground in a rage. She glanced at the door, stamped her foot angrily, and stormed off. Sang Roa grew up in the neighborhood, relying on the kindness of many families for her meals. In fact, she has parents, and both of them live in this community. Her family had a second child, a son, and they almost completely neglected her. Her parents often beat her, and her screams echoed throughout the entire community. Sometimes neighbors would call the police, but when the police arrived, her parents would claim that she was a malicious child who bullied her younger brother. The police also dismissed it as a family dispute. After all, who hasn't spanked their child? And in a two-child family, favoritism is only normal. Later, because she didn't take good care of her younger brother, causing him to fall headfirst off the bed, she was kicked out of the house by her parents. After being kicked out by her parents, she lived in the community's garbage station. That garbage station was drafty, serving as a place where the cleaners stored their brooms and mops. Neighbors scolded her parents for favoring boys over girls, but everyone had their own lives, and no one could afford to support her. They only felt sorry for her and occasionally gave her some leftovers. She rummaged through trash bins for scrap, selling it to the recycling station for some pocket money, until I moved into this neighborhood and became the first person to invite her to live in my home. I divorced my ex-husband and lived alone with my daughter. Feeling sorry for her and thinking my daughter could have a playmate, I often invited her to come over for meals and to play. She had a strong sense of boundaries. If I invited her 10 times, she would only come 5. As long as the temperature outside didn't drop, she would sleep in the garbage station and never came to sleep at my house. She would help me with work and was very good at reading expressions. Over time, I genuinely grew to like her. Whenever I bought something for my daughter, I would almost always buy her a copy as well. Her school fees were almost entirely paid by me. I only thought about creating good karma for myself and never expected any return. Little did I know, I was inviting a wolf into my home, harming my daughter and myself. Because I didn't open the door for Sang Roa, my daughter trembled with fear and didn't fall asleep until the early hours of the morning. I held her in my arms, greedily savoring the warmth she brought. After she fell asleep, I picked up her phone and scrolled through it. I found the chat history between my daughter and Sang Roa, and I was so angry that I was shaking all over. Sang Roa changed her usual demeanor of being a gentle and caring older sister. She called her daughter a bitch repeatedly. She threatened her daughter to give her all her pocket money and bring her delicious food. She forced her daughter not to answer any questions during exams and to rank at the bottom of the entire school, or else she would post her nude photos on the school wall. No wonder my usually docile daughter started rebelling after entering the 3rd year of middle school, often doing things that didn't match her personality. Her academic performance plummeted, and she secretly used her pocket money to buy cosmetics, wearing makeup to school every day. She was caught smoking in the school bathroom and had to call her parents, and she also bought some young adult romance novels. I thought it was just teenage rebellion, combined with the emotional void of being from a single-parent family, always indulging her, accommodating her. When talking to her, she would always cry and apologize, refusing to offer any explanations. It turns out that Sang Roa forced her to do all this, in front of me. Sang Roa puts on a facade of being obedient and gentle. In comparison, Sang Roa seemed more like a gentle and obedient daughter. Sometimes when I got angry, I often compared my daughter to Sang Roa, which must have been very painful for her. My daughter was bullied at school, yet at home, she had to face the demon I brought into the house. The chat logs were endless, each word piercing the heart. I not only saw the bullying my daughter endured, but also learned the real reason behind her suicide by jumping off a building. The chat records show Sang Rua's tone was threatening. Rua is a little cutie, my friend's birthday is in 3 days, ask your mom for more money and come support my friend. Rua is a little cutie, if you dare not come, I'll print your photos into flyers with prices written on them. Ha 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 ha. Rua is such a sweetheart, remember to wear heavy makeup and dress a bit provocatively. My hands were shaking so badly that I didn't dare to keep scrolling. I held my daughter tightly in my arms. This incident will happen in 3 days, I still remember that day. She said her classmate was having a birthday and wanted to stay at her classmate's house for the night. She also asked for a lot of money to buy a birthday gift for her classmate. Although my daughter is rebellious, she never stays out overnight. I didn't suspect anything, gave her the money, and even told her to have fun. The next day after school, she locked herself in her room and cried loudly. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she had a conflict with a classmate. My child is in the 3rd year of middle school, going through a rebellious phase and facing a lot of academic pressure. She doesn't want to communicate with me, and I don't force her. I even asked Sang Rua to come and comfort her. I never expected that just 1 day later, she would resolutely jump from the school building. Something must have happened that day that pushed her to the brink, making it impossible for her to bear it any longer. I dare not think further, tightly holding my daughter in my arms. I remember when I first brought Sang Rua home, my daughter willingly shared her clothes with her. Whenever I made something delicious, she would take a small lunchbox and set aside a portion for Sang Rua, never once considering giving her leftovers. My daughter really liked Sang Rua and treated her like a real sister. They say that a small favor breeds gratitude, while a large one breeds resentment. Sang Rua is truly worse than an animal. I must make her pay for what she's done. Dawn breaks, and my daughter picks up her school bag, ready to go to school. I hurriedly stopped her. Lin, Mom is sick and not feeling well, can you take care of me at home? My daughter's tense expression relaxed for a moment, then she put down her backpack and came over to comfort me. Mom, where do you feel unwell? I'll go to the hospital with you. I patted her head. I have a slight headache, probably a cold. I'll take some medicine and be fine. You stay home with me and get some rest too, to ease my daughter's tension. I turned on the TV and watched her favorite drama with her. She constantly fidgeted with her phone, her mind elsewhere. Finally, the deathly ringing of the phone sounded. I saw the screen, displaying Sang Rua. My daughter's body visibly trembled. I took the phone and pressed the answer button. On the phone, Sang Rua's voice was no longer warm, but rather harsh and cold. Why didn't you come to school? I suppressed the anger in my heart and answered calmly, oh, it's Sang Rua, I'm not feeling well, and Lin is taking care of me at home. Is there something you need? Hearing my voice, Sang Rua on the other end of the phone was taken aback. Then, her tone shifted back to that gentle, considerate voice. It's you, Auntie. I noticed Lin hasn't come to school, and I was worried she might fall behind in her studies, so I called to ask what happened. I sneered coldly. Sang Rua wasn't actually concerned about Lin's studies. If Lin didn't go to school, she wouldn't be able to bully her anymore. Yes, I've already asked the teacher for leave. I'll make up for the missed classes later. Sang Rua's voice was gentle, showing concern for me. Auntie, are you feeling okay? If not, I can take leave to take care of you and let Lin go to school. I firmly refused. No need, I have the flu. I'm worried Lin might bring the virus to school, so we'll just stay home. Sang Rua felt a bit disappointed but still expressed her concern. I responded to her one by one and finally told her. The group messages on her phone keep popping up, disturbing my rest. I've turned off her phone. If you need anything, call me instead. After saying that, I hung up the phone and turned off my daughter's phone directly. My daughter looked confused, so I comforted her. Today, you focus on spending time with Mom and don't touch your phone. My daughter was obedient and well-behaved. She didn't raise any objections, perhaps because she no longer had to worry about receiving Sang Rua's calls. She relaxed completely and became more engrossed in watching TV. My mind was entirely elsewhere, not on the TV. Before dealing with Sang Rua's trouble, I couldn't allow her to have any more opportunities to threaten my daughter. The first thing to do is to retrieve the nude photos of my daughter from Sang Rua. I cannot act rashly and risk everything. If I push her too far, she's ruthless and will definitely release my daughter's photos. Being a minor, she won't go to jail, probably just some moral education, but if my daughter's nude photos are exposed, what will she do? I can't let her bear such consequences. The weather continued to drop in temperature, and Sang Rua had been sleeping at the garbage station for 3 consecutive days. which drew the attention of neighbors in the community. Even a neighbor mentioned me in the group chat. "Aunt Wang, are you not home? I noticed Sang Roa has been sleeping at the garbage station." "Sister Sun, let the child sleep at your place. The temperature has dropped sharply these past 2 days, and she was so cold last night that she cried." "Aunt Wang, I saw your lights on. You're home, right? Why aren't you coming out to talk?" I was cooking, and my phone kept buzzing with notifications, making me feel irritable and restless. Aunt Wang and Sister Sun, the two are dance partners, dancing together in the square every day. They are always the first to know about any family gossip or drama. I remember during the funeral, all the neighbors came to comfort Sang Roa. Aunt Wang said that our mother and daughter's tragic deaths were just our fate. Sister Sun said that we probably owed Sang Roa in our previous lives, and this life was to repay the debt, and once it was repaid, we left. She even wanted to introduce her own son to Sang Roa as a boyfriend. They both enjoy watching the drama unfold in other people's lives and then spreading rumors everywhere. It's really too immoral. I picked up my phone and replied directly, "I'm at home, and it's not convenient for her to stay over." "Auntie Wang, isn't it just you and Lin Lin at your place? What's inconvenient about it? The child is so pitiful out there." "Sister Sun, exactly. Since you've already done a good deed, why not see it through to the end?" I snorted coldly and quickly tapped on my phone screen. "She's not my child, so whether I take her in or not is entirely up to me. If you're all so kind-hearted, why don't you take her into your own homes?" "Sister Sun, we're all neighbors, can't you speak a bit more politely?" I was just trying to be helpful. "Me, kindness in words is still kindness, using my efforts to fulfill your kindness. Stop trying to morally bind me." Seeing that a quarrel was about to break out, Sang Roa stepped in to speak. "Sang Roa, Auntie has a cold and didn't want to infect me. That's why she didn't let me go. She meant well. Thank you all. Please don't argue over my matter." Seeing Sang Roa, I felt my blood pressure rise. I turned off my phone and stopped looking at those replies. Actually, I had given Sang Roa a key to my house, which is why she was able to easily enter my home and turn on the gas in her previous life. However, she never used the key to open the door on her own. Every time she came, she would knock, showing a strong sense of boundaries and good manners. She had been living in the neighborhood garbage station since she was 8 years old. Who could have taught her such manners? Looking back now, it was all just a calculated scheme. I changed the lock cylinder at home to prevent Sang Roa from sneaking in unnoticed and turning on the gas to poison me again. Installed over a dozen surveillance cameras in every corner of the house. I also took an extended leave for my daughter, took her on a trip for a few days until she felt relaxed, and then sent her to stay with her aunt temporarily. After doing all this, I prepared a large table of dishes and invited Sang Roa to dinner at my home. She was quite delighted when I called her. When she entered, she reverted to that pitiful demeanor again. "Auntie, I thought I must have done something to upset you, and you wouldn't like me anymore." I forced a smile. "You're so well behaved. How could you do anything to make me angry? I just have a cold and I'm afraid of infecting you. Come on in." I invited her inside. She entered the house, looked around, and didn't see her daughter. "Auntie, where's Linda?" I didn't answer directly, but quickly brought the dishes to the table. "Wash your hands first, I'll bring this soup over, and then we can eat." She washed her hands and obediently sat at the dining table, waiting to eat. I placed the soup pot on the table, sat across from her, and spoke with great seriousness. "Ruoruo, this is probably the last meal Auntie invited you to have at my house." When she heard me say this, she panicked immediately. "Why not?" Sang Roa's reaction was within my expectations. Even if she is as cunning and wicked as she is still just a 15 or 16-year-old child, not yet steady enough. I watched her intently, not missing even the slightest expression on her face. She no longer wore a timid expression. Instead, her face was filled with anger, and her voice carried a tone of accusation. I picked up a piece of her favorite cola chicken wing for her and replied with a look of melancholy. "Ever since Linlin started middle school, she's become rebellious. Not only has her academic performance plummeted, but her health has also taken a turn for the worse." I thought about changing her environment, since her grandparents are abroad and getting older. They need care, so I planned to immigrate. She was completely stunned, looking at me with disbelief in her eyes. There was helplessness, confusion, but even more so, resentment. Of course, I wouldn't choose to move, because no matter where I went, she could threaten Lin Lin with the nude photos, trying to control me through her. Even if I did manage to move successfully, she would still find other excuses to cling to me and refuse to leave. "Hurry up and eat, the food is getting cold," she forced herself to stay calm and picked up her chopsticks, mechanically eating the contents of her bowl. After a few bites, she looked up and asked me, "Auntie, where's Lin Lin?" "I've sent Lin Lin to stay with her aunt for a couple of days. I've already negotiated the sale of this house, and the transfer procedures will be completed in the next few days." I also specifically reminded her, "Don't tell Lin Lin, okay? If she finds out, she'll definitely make a fuss about not going. I want to keep it from her and finish all the procedures, so she won't have a chance to make trouble. There's no way I'll give her another opportunity to contact Lin Lin, because I don't know what other methods she might use to provoke Lin Lin. I have already lost a daughter once, and I do not want to lose another." After hearing what I said, Sang Rua's eyes rolled around several times. I thought it was time to give her some personal space to calm down and think of a plan. I quietly set an alarm for 2 minutes later. The alarm rang, and I pretended to take a call as I went to the kitchen. The restaurant's glass faced the dining table. Through the reflection in the glass, I saw her take out her phone and start sending a message. If I'm not mistaken, she must be sending a message to Lin Lin. At least, before I move out, I need to have Lin Lin stop me. In this neighborhood, I'm the only one who looks out for her, just like last time when the temperature dropped. Everyone in the group chat knew she was crying from the cold, yet no one offered to let her stay at their place. If I leave, she'll lose everything. How could she possibly let me go willingly? I pretended to be on a phone call, deliberately raising my voice. "Mom and Dad, I've already found a buyer for the house here, and will be signing the contract in a couple of days. Yeah, I've already withdrawn the 3 million yuan and kept it at home. We can exchange it for foreign currency directly and deposit it into the bank." Everything was clearly reflected in the glass. She stopped typing and focused intently on listening to my phone call. I hung up the phone, and she was still lost in thought, not even noticing as I walked over to her. I snatched her phone away, and she instinctively tried to grab it back. I placed the phone right next to her rice bowl and held her hand down. "Stop looking at your phone and eat quickly. The food is getting cold." Then, as usual, I kept up a constant stream of caring chatter. "You kids these days, all you do is get addicted to your phones." Seeing that I didn't make any move to take her phone, she relaxed her guard and stopped touching it. I picked up the spoon. "I stewed this pig's trotter soup all afternoon, and you love it the most." I ladled a full bowl of soup, ready to place it in front of her. Suddenly, as if scalded, my hand slipped, and the bowl of soup splashed all over her, including her phone. The scalding soup drenched her, and instinctively, she stood up. I quickly grabbed her phone before the soup spilled all over it. Seeing me pick up the phone, she reached out to snatch it without even checking if she was burned. I pretended to lose my grip and let the entire phone fall into the pot of soup. Sang Rua let out a scream. My phone. Inside the phone were my daughter's nude photos, her lifeline, which she naturally valued immensely. She reached out to fish it from the pot, but the clay pot retained heat. The moment she touched the soup, she recoiled from the burn. "Ruoruo, it's hot, let me get it." I quickly reached out with the soup ladle to scoop it up, but the more anxious I became, the harder it was to retrieve it. The ladle seemed to have a mind of its own, struggling with the phone and the soup. It took several attempts before I finally managed to scoop it out. As soon as the phone was out, I hurriedly shouted, "Don't even think about turning on the screen. The phone is waterlogged now. Turning it on will short-circuit and damage the motherboard." Sang Rua grabbed the phone, wanting to check if it was damaged by the water, but hesitated to turn it on, afraid that I would say it would burn the motherboard. She looked around, noticing that the phone, from the charging port to the camera, was covered in greasy, sticky collagen from the pork trotters. Realizing she was powerless, she could only shout at me in frustration, "Are you disabled? How can you spill soup and drop your phone into the soup pot? It's all ruined now." She was shouting at me like this for the first time, and I immediately put on a stern face. "Sang Rua, I just accidentally dropped your phone. If it can't be fixed, I'll buy you a new one. Besides, this phone was bought by me." Sang Rua couldn't hold back and revealed her true colors. After shouting, she realized something was wrong and quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, Auntie, I was just in a hurry and spoke without thinking. It's precisely because you bought this phone that I cherish it so much, and I can't bear to see it damaged in any way." I grabbed the phone from her hand with a stern face, and she held onto it tightly. "I heard that if a waterlogged phone is rolled in rice, it will be fine. Give it to me, and I'll try putting it in rice." At first, she didn't want to give it, but when she heard I was trying to save the phone and saw my serious expression, she was afraid I would get angry, so she let go. I sighed softly and, in front of her, inserted the phone into the rice barrel in the kitchen. Entering Lin Lin's room, I picked out a set of Lin's clothes and handed them to her. "Change into these, you're all sticky and uncomfortable." She looked longingly in the direction of the phone, but her current state was truly unbearable. Helpless, she still went to Lin's room to change her clothes. She dressed very quickly and came out in just a minute. Seeing me wiping the dining table, she finally felt relieved. "Anyway, let's finish this meal. After all, it's the last meal we'll have together." Seeing my unhappy expression, she suppressed all her thoughts and silently ate with me. A child's thoughts are hard to hide. During the meal, she frequently glanced towards the phone. Noticing she had little interest in eating, I ate a few bites and then put down my chopsticks. Under her gaze, I walked into the study. I work as an accountant, and at home, I have a filing cabinet specifically for accounting documents. This cabinet comes with a simple, small safe. Sang Rua knows that I keep some financial seals and tax control devices inside to avoid losing them. I deliberately made a lot of noise while opening the filing cabinet door, and the beeping sounds when entering the password were clearly audible from outside as well. I took out an entire bundle of money from the filing cabinet, amounting to a full 100,000 yuan. Holding that bundle of cash, I walked to the kitchen, grabbed the kitchen scissors, cut through the plastic zip tie on the money, pulled out a stack, and started counting. As I counted, I kept glancing at Sang Rua out of the corner of my eye. Her eyes no longer looked at the phone in the rice bucket. Instead, they were fixed intently on the money in my hands. Her greedy gaze was fiery and scorching, as if it could burn a hole right through my hands. I guess she's never seen so much money in her life. I counted out 7,000 yuan and handed it to her. "Take this money. If your phone breaks, buy a new one. If it doesn't, consider it my gift for your pocket money. After all, I'm leaving soon and won't be able to take care of you anymore." Sang Rua declined a few times as usual but accepted it just like before, but this time, she didn't show the usual joy. After seeing so much money, who would care about a few thousand yuan? I walked to the kitchen, took her phone out of the rice bucket right in front of her, and handed it to her. "I'm not feeling well and need to rest early." She merely showed disappointment and left without any lingering attachment. I didn't ask her to stay, and she wasn't surprised either, considering we had a bit of an unpleasant moment earlier. Moreover, I felt that she didn't want to stay, as she had too many things to do. I watched her leave through the peephole and waited for another 20 minutes to make sure she wouldn't come back. Back in the kitchen, I fished out a phone from the depths of the rice bag. The phone that Sang Rua took was one I had intentionally bought, a second-hand one, and soaked in water to damage. I had already taken it to after-sales service to check, and apart from replacing the motherboard, there was no other way to repair it. A phone with a replaced motherboard is essentially a new phone, and the original data will no longer exist. I really want to see what kind of face she'll make when she realizes the data is gone. Unfortunately, I can't let the cat out of the bag and let her know the phone has been swapped, because I'm not sure if those photos have backups. But now there should be something more tempting to Sang Rua than just nude photos. This time I've upped the ante. Sang Rua, you're tempted, aren't you? Would a house and 3 million in cash tempt you to take the same path as last time, taking the phone to the after-sales service for repair? Just a cleaning, and the phone can turn on. It turns out that replacing the phone was the right choice. Now all phones are waterproof, and if it doesn't get damaged by water, I won't get a second chance to get her phone. After fixing it, I flipped through the photo album and, sure enough, there were nude photos of Lin inside. Most of them were secretly taken while she was showering, or when she was sleeping with her nightgown lifted, and there were even photos of me taken without my knowledge. I was so angry that I wanted to smash the phone to pieces. I had truly been too lenient with Sang Rua. She lived in my home, and neither Lin nor I had any guard up against her. Thinking that after my death, the police would conduct a routine investigation, and they would also find Sang Rua's fingerprints in the kitchen. However, the neighbors could all testify that Sang Rua lived in my house, and her fingerprints and traces of life were all over the place. It wouldn't be strange to find her fingerprints in the kitchen. Moreover, Sang Rua has an alibi. Her friends from outside school testified that they were playing cards together in the rental house until she returned home after my incident. I deleted the photos from my phone one by one and took screenshots of hundreds of chat records as evidence. When the software prompted a login from another location, I knew Sang Rua's fake phone had been repaired. I switched back to the original lock cylinder and prepared everything. Daytime, I checked into a hotel to catch up on sleep, and at night, I waited at home, anticipating Sang Rua's arrival. Finally, on the third day, she made her move. 3 a.m. is the time when people are deepest in sleep, and the entire neighborhood was plunged into silence. I strained my ears, listening to every sound around me. The door lock turned softly, and Sang Rua tiptoed in quietly. I quickly lay down, pretending to be sound asleep. Since Lin Lin became rebellious, I have had to tutor her with her homework until 12 o'clock every day. Coupled with the frustrations at work, my mental stress has been particularly high, and I rely on sleeping pills to fall asleep every day. If Sang Rua knew about this. Otherwise I wouldn't have been unaware of her entering the house in my previous life. She walked into my room and softly called out to me a few times, "Auntie, Auntie." Seeing that I didn't respond, she went outside and whispered, "Quickly come in, be gentle, don't wake anyone up." The sound of hurried footsteps echoed inside the house. "Move the cabinet in the study, be careful." The noisy footsteps entered the study, and several people hurriedly lifted the cabinet, moving out quietly. Only after they left did I finally relax. She followed the route I had meticulously planned for her. I deliberately let her overhear my phone call, intentionally provoked her with money, and made sure she knew the money was in the safe. Sang Rua doesn't know the safe's combination, so she'll definitely have to find someone to move the safe to get the money inside. Who would she turn to? Of course, it would be those good brothers from her previous life who provided her with alibis. Those good brothers fabricated evidence for her, allowing her to escape legal punishment, and there's a possibility that they also committed unforgivable acts against Lin Lin. How could I let them off? In fact, I was also gambling, betting that she wouldn't dare to kill me outright. After all, she was just a child and I was an adult. Moreover, her goal was to take my house, so of course, she would want to inherit the property without a single stain. I guessed she would use the same method as in her previous life, pretending it was a suicide. I'm dead, and she's holding Lin Lin's nude photos, threatening to control her, or like in my previous life, forcing Lin Lin to commit suicide. Then the house would become hers alone. Actually, I wasn't completely unprepared either. I was tightly gripping a watermelon knife in my hand, so if they made any extreme moves, I could defend myself. If all else fails, I can always open the window and jump out to escape. I live on the second floor. At worst, it would just be a fracture, not life-threatening. Sang Rua was very cautious. After those people carried the cabinet away, she went to the kitchen, took out a mop, and mopped the floor to clear away the messy footprints. After finishing all this, she stood at the doorway, lost in thought for a long time. Finally, she made her choice, walked into the kitchen, and turned on the gas. Then she quietly closed the door and left the scene. I remained lying in bed, unmoving, suppressing the urge to scream. My body trembled slightly with excitement. "You're done for," Sang Rua, just like in my previous life. The police and firefighters arrived at the residential complex in the middle of the night, setting up a cordon. The next day, the news of Sang Rua's arrest shook the entire neighborhood. I lay in the hospital bed, oxygen mask on, watching the chaos unfold in the group chat. "Sister Sun, what's going on? I heard you called the police and had Sang Rua arrested." "Aunt Wang, Sang Rua is already so pitiful, can't you just bear with it? Why did it have to escalate to calling the police? The old neighborhood has no surveillance, so no one knows what happened." "It's okay, I have it at home." I ignored their questioning and directly played two video clips. One was the surveillance footage from the living room. In the video, Sang Rua entered first, and 1 minute later, 4 young men dressed in a streetwise style walked in, heading toward the study. About 5 minutes later, they carried out a filing cabinet and swaggered away. Another segment shows Sang Rua mopping the floor to conceal the evidence, then walking to the kitchen and turning on the gas valve. 5 minutes later, the kitchen's gas monitoring alarm system went off, ringing loudly. Then, in a daze, I walked to the kitchen, turned off the gas valve, opened the window for ventilation, and called for help. After the video was posted, the noisy group chat instantly fell silent. I continue to elaborate. Sang Rua, along with 4 young men from society, broke into a house to commit theft last night. After successfully stealing, she turned on the gas, attempting to create the illusion of my suicide. During the police arrest, they found a suicide note imitating my handwriting on her person. "At Aunt Wang, at Sister Sun, please tell me, how should I bear this?" The group instantly erupted, with many even tagging Sang Rua's biological parents, who had been lurking for years. Sang Rua's mother finally couldn't withstand the pressure and spoke up. "A real estate agency, we've long since cut ties with that little beast. Whatever she does has nothing to do with me." A real estate agent, I've said it before, she's a born bad seed, and you didn't believe me. A real estate agent. She deliberately pushed her brother off the bed, used boiling water to make his milk, scalding the baby's mouth with blisters. She intentionally fed him nuts, nearly choking the child to death. we had no choice but to kick her out. After saying this, she left the group chat. I also stopped paying attention to the chaos in the group and turned off my phone. Everything had been foreshadowed, and it was my own fault for being a pushover, for being a saint, for being a fool. I once heard a saying, the suffering someone else is going through is the karma they deserve. If you intervene forcibly, you disrupt that karma, and the suffering they were meant to endure will instead fall upon you. Now, I believe those words wholeheartedly. Sometimes, it's truly necessary to let go of the urge to help and respect others' choices. On the 6th month after Sang Rua was arrested, the case finally went to trial. Before the trial began, Sang Rua was escorted into the courtroom under guard. As she passed by me, she smiled sweetly. "Auntie, I'm under 18, you know, there's the juvenile protection law. I'll probably just get some ideological education, and we'll be able to meet again soon." I clenched my fist tightly with hatred. She was not acting on a whim. She knew everything and was not at all afraid of being exposed, but this time, she miscalculated. During the trial, Sang Rua confessed to all her actions without hesitation. She was smiling, without any feelings of regret or fear. She even asked the judge whether, given her candid cooperation with the investigation, she could be exempted from ideological education as well. But the moment she heard the judge's verdict, the smile on her face gradually froze, eventually replaced by fear. The suspect, Sang Rua, is guilty of burglary and intentional homicide. The suspect is under 18 years old, at least 16 years old, involved in a major theft, and committed premeditated murder under aggravated circumstances. Sentenced to 8 years in prison, Sang Rua cried out in disbelief, her voice trembling, "Isn't the verdict wrong? I'm a minor, I have the protection of the juvenile protection law. I don't accept this, I demand a retrial. I didn't kill anyone, she was clearly alive, and I didn't spend a single cent of the money I stole." Silence. The judge's voice was authoritative and awe-inspiring. Sang Rua dared not shout anymore, only weeping softly. The verdicts for the other 4 individuals were read out and concluded. The police escorted Sang Rua out, while Sang Rua struggled and cried out, "Auntie, I was wrong, I really know I was wrong, please forgive me." "Okay, Auntie, my parents never cared about me since I was young, I'm already so pitiful, can you just let it go, please?" She cried and pleaded all the way, but I remained unmoved. Finally, she shouted in a fit of rage, "You only took me in to put on a show. Even your husband doesn't want you anymore, which shows what a detestable woman you are. You have so much money, what's wrong with giving me a little to spend? I have nude photos of that bitch Lin Lin. If you don't let me go, I'll spread them everywhere. Bitch, you 2 bitches, I won't let you off." The voice gradually faded away, leaving only the sound of sobbing echoing in the corridor. In the end, I sold the house and moved to another city with Lin Lin. There are too many bad memories for her here, and I don't want these to continue affecting her. The city of Xin Unju enjoys spring-like weather all year round. I brought my parents from abroad to provide for their retirement. Lin Lin adapted to her new school, her grades gradually improved, and she made new friends. She returned to being the lively and cheerful child she once was. She was admitted to a key high school, then a prestigious university, and made a boyfriend at school. Although that incident left an indelible scar on her, the scar would fade with time until only a small mark remained. I heard news about Sang Rua again 10 years later, when my daughter Lin Lin had already gone abroad to study with her boyfriend, and I was asked to return to my hometown to bury my parents. When I went to the community to cancel my parents' household registration, I ran into the director of the community at the time, because my case was quite famous. She still remembered me. She told me about Sang Rua. It turns out that Sang Rua didn't serve 8 years in prison. Due to good behavior, she was released after 6 years. By the time she got out, she was already a 22-year-old young woman. She already had many bad intentions, and she also learned legal knowledge in prison. In the evidence I used to sue her back then, I found many testimonies favorable to her, and I took my parents to court for the crime of abandonment. To avoid having a criminal record and for the sake of their son's future, my parents chose to settle the matter privately. From then on, Sang Rua began to have a home. She didn't work, and whenever she ran out of money, she would ask her parents for it, wandering around with those small-time hoodlums all day. Later, she hooked up with the son of sister's son. While dating sister's son's son, she was also entangled with outsiders. As a result, the 2 young men fought over her, and the hoodlum accidentally killed sister's son's son. Sun Jia wouldn't let it go and brought people to her house every day to cause trouble. Her family had no choice but to compensate Sun Jia with a house in the community. Sang Rua's parents gave up a house and completely severed all ties with her. Sang Rua wasn't in a hurry and spent her days loitering at the door of Aunt Wang, who had no children. Since Aunt Wang often defended her and showed concern for her in the group chats, Sang Rua demanded to be Aunt Wang's adopted daughter and to inherit Aunt Wang's property. Aunt Wang was so angry that she had a heart attack and was hospitalized. She brazenly occupied someone else's house. Later, she got a boyfriend and became pregnant. Before the child was born, the man could still be seen running around, showing his affection. Soon after the child was born, the man never came back. Under the assistance of community workers, Sang Rua barely managed to raise the child, after which she completely disengaged from any responsibility. A 5-year-old child, just like she once was, begged for food in the neighborhood, but recalling what had happened before, no one dared to give that child any food. With no food to eat, the child learned to cook for themselves. However, the child was too young. One time, after cooking, they forgot to turn off the gas. Sang Rua, who was drunk and unaware, ended up dying at home from gas poisoning. At this point, the community director let out a deep sigh. It's just a pity that the child lost their family at such a young age and was sent to an orphanage by our community. After bidding farewell to the director, I set off on my way home. My hatred for Sang Rua would not disappear with her death, but I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of sorrow. Everyone says good and evil will be repaid, but it turns out Sang Rua had long chosen her own ending. Yet, I still can't help but harbor my own malicious thoughts. This thought sends chills through my body even in the height of summer. Was that child simply forgetful about turning off the gas, or did they open it on purpose? After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In my previous life, the college entrance exam and my daughter's Idols concert had coincided on the same afternoon. She threw down her admission ticket, dashed out the door, and said, "I'm not taking the exam. There's always next year for the college entrance exam, but my brother's comeback concert is only today. He cried at the fan meet yesterday, saying that only we are his light." I caught up to her on the highway, forced her into a taxi, and brought her back to the exam site. In the end, she got into a top university, achieving great success. The next day, entertainment headlines revealed that the top idol had been seen holding hands with a mysterious girl at the concert. When my daughter saw the trending topic, she went completely mad, until the night of her graduation banquet, when my daughter tore up her admission letter, smashed her phone, and screamed at me, "She's wearing the same outfit as mine. If you hadn't stopped me, I would have been the one standing by his side." That very night, she pushed me off a high-rise building, and the hefty insurance money was squandered on her Idols concerts, buying out entire venues to follow her star. When I opened my eyes again, I was back the day before the college entrance exam. My daughter was in a frenzy, demanding to go to a concert. I smiled brightly. "Go ahead, what's the college entrance exam compared to your idol brother?" I stood in the living room, the intense pain from my fall still lingering at the back of my head, and my daughter's shouting screams ringing in my ears. "There's a college entrance exam every year, but today is the only concert after brother's comeback." My daughter threw her admission ticket to the ground, her eyes blazing with fury. "He cried at the meet and greet yesterday. The company has exploited him to the point of relapsing into depression, and he's been staying up late to practice dancing until his knees are ruined. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't be able to survive." "Mom, do you even know how hard it is for him?" I looked at her excited face, and in my mind, I flashed back to the previous life, when she had pushed me off a high-rise building with a twisted expression. My body was still trembling slightly, but my heart had already turned as cold as stone. I looked up and gave an extraordinarily bright smile. "Sure, go ahead," not expecting me to agree so readily. She narrowed her eyes suspiciously. "You really let me go? You're not stopping me." "Why would I stop you?" I spread my hands, speaking in a relaxed tone. "What's the college entrance exam compared to your idol brother? You'll be an adult next month, so you can make your own decisions. Mom wishes you and your brother a mutual journey." A hint of smugness flashed in her eyes, and she immediately reached out. "Dormitory fee, travel fare, concert ticket, total 8,000. Hurry up, I need to catch the last bus." I slowly sat down, picked up my teacup, and took a sip. "No money," I said. "You know, Mom's salary is just enough to cover a flower arrangement course." Her eyes widened. "Are you crazy? Flower arrangement? What does a middle-aged woman like you need to learn flower arrangement for? Can't a middle-aged woman have hobbies?" I tilted my head. "You always say that people should live for themselves. I'm just following your advice and choosing my own path." she was trembling with anger, pointing at me and screaming, "How can you be so selfish? You've spent all the money, and where am I supposed to get the funds to retake the exam?" I gave a cold laugh. Did she still want to repeat the year? In her heart, idol worship was the entirety of her life's meaning, everything else had to take a back seat. In her previous life, she believed that as her mother, should empty everything and support her selflessly. She complained to others more than once, saying that I had no life of my own, living like an empty shell, which drove her father to divorce me. She knew full well that it was her father who had cheated first, but her lies made everyone believe that I was a bitter, resentful woman, using her daughter as a means to fill my emptiness, and she, chasing after her idol, was living a truly vibrant life. I leaned lazily against the sofa. "You said you weren't going to take the exam, so why bother with a retake? Go fulfill your life's worth. I won't stop you anymore. Mom has done her duty." Her expression was a spectacle, shifting from shock to anger, then to disbelief. I shrugged. "You could ask your dad for it too." She froze. Her dad was now completely focused on his new wife and son, and even the alimony payments were delayed repeatedly after the marriage. "You're doing this on purpose," she hissed through gritted teeth. "You just want to force me to take the college entrance exam." I laughed, this time really laughing out loud. "No, I really do support you chasing your star." I stood up, patted her shoulder. "Go ahead, don't leave any regrets." My daughter's face turned pale and then flushed, and finally, she stormed out with a loud slam of the door. In the corridor, my daughter dialed a number, and I stood behind the door, my ears perked up. "Dad, my mom has gone crazy." Chen Xiang's gentle male voice came through the phone. "What's wrong, my dear daughter? Take your time and tell me slowly." "Tomorrow is Ziyao's comeback concert, and I absolutely have to go." Her voice grew more and more excited. "But my mom won't let me go. She wants to use the money to learn flower arrangement or something." I almost burst out laughing. "No," I clearly said. "Go ahead," but apparently, in her eyes, not giving her money was the same as not letting her go. "Is that so?" Chen Xiang's voice paused for a moment. "Daughter, tomorrow your dad just happens to be going on a business trip to Shanghai to discuss a project." His pause made me think he would at least pretend to persuade her that tomorrow is the college entrance exam. Obviously, he didn't even remember what day tomorrow is. "Then transfer me 8,000 first." Her voice lowered. "I really have to go." He sighed. "The company's funds are all tied up in projects right now. How about this? When Dad returns from his business trip, I'll definitely make it up to you." "Okay," classic line, next time for sure, but there's never a next time. Back then, when Chen Xiang got involved with the company assistant, I divorced him with Xiao Qing, only taking a house, not a single extra piece of property. The assistant gave birth to a son after marriage, firmly securing her position as a daughter-in-law of the Chen family. Grandma Xiao pretended to be affectionate towards her granddaughter, but secretly believed that girls were a financial burden. Later, she was so overjoyed that she could hardly stop smiling, constantly holding her little grandson and calling him the heir of the Zhao family, while barely sparing a smile for Xiao Qing. After the call ended, the door was suddenly pushed open, and her daughter rushed in with red eyes. I leisurely flipped a page of the magazine. "Did your good daddy give you money?" She glared at me with gritted teeth. "My dad gave me money as soon as he returned from his business trip and even praised me for having dreams, unlike you, who has money but insists on learning that crappy flower arrangement." I sneered, too lazy to argue. "Fine, your dad is good to you, so rely on him then." Her expression twisted instantly. "Just you wait, I won't rely on you." After speaking, she slammed the door shut with a final, forceful bang and went into the bedroom. In the evening, I heard her rummaging through the room, and then a clatter, as if coins had spilled all over the floor. Through the slightly ajar door, I saw her stuffing money from her piggy bank into her school bag. That was the New Year's money she had saved over 5 years. She even sold the learning tablet I had bought her with great difficulty last year. I remember her once vowing solemnly that she would save her New Year's money for a graduation trip. Clearly, the idol was far more important than her own promise. My daughter got her wish and went to the concert, and for 2 straight days, her social media was flooded with updates. Photos flooded the scene, close-ups of the stage, support light boards, location check-ins. Nothing was missed. "My husband's stage performance is absolutely amazing. This is the destined two-way bond." There was also a blurry selfie of a side profile, with the caption, "Holy crap. Ziyao just looked over here, he gave me a heart." The comment section was bustling with activity, classmates giving likes, and netizens expressing envy. She replied even more enthusiastically, my husband's gentle gaze tonight was all for me. I'm truly dying of happiness. I logged into the small account I had prepared long ago, with a profile picture of an ordinary girl, making it look like I was just an inconspicuous fan following a celebrity. I clicked on my daughter's latest Weibo post and commented below, "Could you really see the gaze from the last row?" Soon, dozens of comments appeared under hers, as fans who didn't attend flooded the screen with their sourness. "Ah, this, the last row, laughing to death, so delusional, brother's heart gesture is for the front VIPs, wake up, laughing to death. Just now you said Xiao was always looking at you, and now you're sitting on the mountaintop." Someone directly told her, "Xiao treats all fans the same, so please don't bring him any bad publicity, thank you," she replied with some stubborn words. "You're just jealous, my husband was definitely looking at me, the more you're sour, the more I have, haha." But the comments got harsher, and even a few major fans chimed in, "Sister, your photo doesn't even clearly show his face, how can you tell he was looking at you?" Half an hour later, she deleted that post, and I couldn't help but chuckle softly. She was still as concerned about her image as ever. I closed my eyes, filled with regret, constantly wondering which step I had taken wrong to turn my daughter into such a heartless person. After the divorce, Chen Xiang's alimony was never fully paid, and I had to bear all the expenses for our daughter's food, clothing, and daily needs on my own. Life felt like a tightly strung bow, and I was terrified that being from a single-parent family would make her feel inferior. I would rather wear old clothes and eat plain porridge, just to ensure she had a good life. She believed my sacrifices were her due, and her desires grew like wild weeds. Xiao Qing is actually very intelligent. With just a little effort, she could rank at the top of her class, but she uses her talent as a bargaining chip, always causing a scene with me before exams, demanding exorbitant concert tickets, limited edition merchandise, fan meetings, leaving me gasping for air. As a clerical accountant earning a monthly salary of 10,000, after paying the mortgage, utilities, and daily expenses, there's hardly anything left. For her sake, I work overtime year-round, my eyes suffering, my fingers numb from typing, yet she never shows any understanding. In my previous life, she was so selfish that she didn't even bother to take the college entrance exam. The only time I was tough with her, she repaid me by pushing me off a high-rise building herself. Having died once, I finally realized, why should I sacrifice my life for her stardom? I won't tolerate such an ungrateful person anymore. I opened the payment app, found the account Xiaoyu had linked for family sharing, with a low limit of only 500, without hesitation, I clicked to unlink it. An hour later, the phone rang. "Mom," came the furious voice of my daughter from the other end of the line, "why can't I use my intimate payment? I don't have money to buy a ticket home now," I said slowly. "Oh, I unlinked it. You said you weren't relying on me, didn't you? You're vicious, selfish." Xiao Qing's voice trembled with anger. "You just want to humiliate me. If I starve to death outside, you'll be satisfied, are you even human?" She cursed like a machine gun, but all I could do was laugh. In my previous life, when she called me useless, I would lie awake, heartbroken. Now, all I want to do is give her a couple of good slaps, then go find your dad. He definitely wouldn't bear to let his little treasure suffer. I hung up the phone decisively and turned it to silent mode. As expected, 3 minutes later, my phone started vibrating like crazy again. This time, it was Chen Xiang. As soon as I picked up, he started yelling at me, "How do you even be a mother? Your daughter is all alone in another city, and you didn't even buy her a ticket home, just leaving her there like that. She's your own daughter, how can your heart be so black?" I raised an eyebrow lightly. "Didn't she tell you she went to a concert? So what if the daughter goes to a concert? Young people with dreams are something special." I gave a cold laugh. "Then do you know what day it was yesterday?" "What day is it?" "The day of the college entrance exam," I said slowly and clearly. "Your daughter didn't go to the exam, she chose the concert over the exam." There was an awkward silence on the other end of the line. I guess Chen Xiang was trying to recall which grade his daughter was in. Finally, he opted to change the subject. "Well, why didn't you stop her? Now she's alone in another city. Safety is the most important thing. You can't treat a child like this." "Oh," I sneered, "then you can send her money." I was too tired to listen to his nonsense anymore and hung up the phone directly. Early in the morning on the third day, I was drinking coffee when the door creaked open. My daughter shuffled in, her face covered in dust, her hair a mess like a bird's nest, as if she had just crawled back from a construction site. She threw her backpack on the ground, glaring at me with eyes red like a rabbit's. "Are you satisfied now?" she hissed through gritted teeth. Luckily, Dad gave me $300, and I had to sit for 36 hours on a hard seat to get back. 36 hours, my legs are swollen, and the carriage stank like a garbage dump. You've made my life miserable. So happy now, huh? I raised an eyebrow. Oh, your dad is really generous, not even willing to buy you a hard sleeper on the green train. Shut up. She kicked the backpack. Dad did his best. He has a family to support, unlike you, just standing there coldly watching me suffer. At least Dad cares about me. You're just a heartless, vicious woman. She looked at me, her eyes like venom. You still expect me to take care of you in your old age? How dare you treat me like this? I waved my hand. No, when I'm old, I'll go to a nursing home. If that doesn't work, I'll just end it all. I've lived long enough anyway. Her face twisted as if she was about to pounce. Not relying on me for your old age. Fine, that's what you said. Just you wait and see. She stormed into the room with her backpack, slamming the door so hard it rattled the walls. Tomorrow morning, the entertainment headlines will explode with news of Jiang Ziya holding hands with a fan. I took out my phone and dialed Chen Xiang's number. I need to go on a business trip for a few days. You come and pick up our daughter to stay with you. Chen Xiang stammered. I'm extremely busy these days. There's an important project at the company. I sneered. Then should I send her to her grandmother's? The old lady is always saying how much she misses her granddaughter. The voice on the phone immediately tensed up. No, I'll come to pick you up, first thing tomorrow morning. The next day, just as the sky was beginning to lighten, I was dragging my suitcase, ready to leave, when suddenly a heart-wrenching scream came from my daughter's room. I stopped in my tracks, the corners of my mouth involuntarily curling upward. What a beautiful sound. In my previous life, this news utterly shattered her. She tore the admission notice to shreds and ultimately pushed me off a high-rise building. This time around, I'm going to make sure her father gets a taste of what I went through. As I walked to the garage and was about to get into the car, I heard hurried footsteps behind me. Lu Zhen, look. I turned my head, and my daughter caught up, her hair disheveled, her eyes red like a wild beast. She grabbed my arm fiercely, the force almost digging into my flesh. With her other hand, she wildly shook her phone, the screen displaying a trending entertainment news headline. Top star Jiang Ziya spotted holding hands with a mysterious female fan after concert, returning together to a hotel. In the photo, her idol was seen with his arm around a girl, the two appearing intimately close. This is the spot, she screamed, her fingers trembling as she zoomed in on the photo. Row 4, seat 12, the VIP section I was going to buy. Her fingers swiped across the screen, flipping through a series of comparison images, dresses, hairstyles, seat numbers, analyzing them like a detective. It should have been mine. She suddenly erupted in an uncontrolled shouting, tears and snot smeared across her face. If you had given me the money, I would be standing by his side right now. You ruined my chance. What's the point of living? I might as well die. I watched her coldly, scenes from my past life flashing before my eyes. She tore up the 211 admission letter, screamed at me, pushed me off a high-rise building. This time, her madness was the same old routine. I spoke slowly and deliberately. Die. That won't do. If you really die, who will hold the light sign for your brother at the fan meet? Don't let those female fans monopolize your brother. Those words were like pouring gasoline on a fire. Are you even human? She shoved me hard, and my back slammed against the car door, pain shooting through me. All you've ever done since I was little is force me to study. My dad was right. You're a bitch. You stole me away from my dad. You gave birth but didn't raise me. If I had stayed with my dad, I would have had a good life by now, instead of suffering with you. I straightened up and slapped her across the face. Smack. The crisp sound echoed through the parking lot. She covered her face, her eyes wide with disbelief. You dare hit me. From a young age, I have always been patient in guiding her, gently advising her, never once raising a hand. Do I need to pick a special day to discipline my disobedient daughter? I said coldly. I raised you for 18 years, yet you value a stranger's glance more than my care. This slap, I should have given it long ago. You're full of it, she screamed as she lunged forward. You don't understand at all. Smack. The second slap was even harder, forcing her head to turn to the side. This slap is for your stupidity and wickedness. I yanked at her collar. Do you really think spending 8,000 yuan on a seat will get you noticed? I scrimped and saved to support your obsession with him, and it cost me my life, yet I couldn't even earn a single glance. She struggled wildly, her nails leaving bloody scratches on my arm. At least my brother wouldn't treat me like this, he sees me as his light, his salvation. But you, smack, the third slap sent her crashing to the ground. This slap, I said, looking down at her, is for you calling the thief your father. She slumped to the ground, a trickle of blood at the corner of her mouth, yet still laughing. Haha, are you angry, because I hit the truth? You're just jealous that my dad loves me more than yours ever did. Dad doesn't want you, and neither do I. You ruined my life. I curse you to die in a nursing home with no one to claim your body. I laughed out loud. With a wretch like you, I'd be better off counting on a stray dog. I turned around, pulled open the car door, and threw out my final words. If you want to go crazy, find your dad. I don't have time to act out your melodrama. As the car started, I saw her through the rear-view mirror, kneeling on the ground, clutching her hair and wailing in heartrending sobs. Behind me, curses kept pouring out. I'm telling Dad, you've abused me. I'll make him throw you in jail. Just wait and die. Chen Xiang took away his daughter, and that very night, her new update flooded the social media. Dad brought me to eat Japanese food endorsed by Ziyao. Some people will never understand what love is. In the photo, Chen Xiang is with Wu Mei and Chen Xiaojiang, while Xiao Qing sits in the middle. She is holding chopsticks in a peace sign, and on the table is the Wagyu set meal endorsed by her idol. I stared at the photo and couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. She probably didn't know that this was Chen Xiaojiang's favorite restaurant, and every dish in the photo was ordered according to Xiaojiang's taste. Chen Xiang thought she was just staying for a few days, and after casually taking her out for a meal, she blew it up as boundless paternal love. I retorted in the comments. I hear Ziyao is having a fan meet and greet. Since your dad loves you so much, he must have bought you a ticket, right? Within 10 minutes, my comment was deleted, and my profile picture was blocked by her. I guess she was also feeling guilty, so blocking her was perfect. My goal was to cut all ties with her permanently. With that little bit of fatherly love Chen Xiang had, he couldn't even bear to buy Xiaojiang an extra piece of fried chicken, so expecting him to pay for her to repeat a year of school was out of the question. In her previous life, he didn't even show up when Xiao Qing was hospitalized. This time around, I'm curious to see how Xiao Qing will manage to rise to success with her father's help. I was enjoying a wonderful vacation in Yunnan, not answering calls or replying to messages. Chen Xiang sent countless messages every day, asking when I would take Xiao Qing back. My daughter had quieted down for now, but with her vicious nature, she wouldn't let it rest. Sure enough, a week later, a trending post popped up on my phone, its title like a blade piercing the eye. PUA-style mother forced me to abandon my exams. Is it a distortion of human nature or a failure of education? Clicking in, I found it was indeed my daughter's little essay. She tearfully recounted how I had been cold and violent towards her, calling her useless, and how she found energy through idolizing celebrities. I had even taken her away from her doting father, and on the day of the college entrance exam, I told her that since she wouldn't pass anyway, she shouldn't go and might as well start working in a factory early. She twisted the truth, fabricating chat screenshots by cutting off the beginning and end, how I unlinked her from my family payment plan, how I mocked her, how I made her life suffocating. The comments section exploded with outrage from netizens. This kind of mother is too malicious. Can parents get certified before they can have kids? I know this type of PUA mother all too well. On the surface, she pretends to be doing it for your own good, but in reality, she's out to ruin your life. Her control is so extreme, the child is so pitiful. Single-parent families are just psychologically twisted. My daughter thought I was still the same as in my previous life, someone who wouldn't go online or know how to read forums. I understand what this means. If I don't fight back, I'll be exposed online and doxxed. There are too many middle-aged people who don't understand the internet, whose peaceful lives are disrupted, and who eventually can't withstand the cyberbullying and take their own lives. However, this time around, I have all my alternate accounts ready, and I've recorded every argument with her. I started a new post with a straightforward title, The Truth, Who Forced Whom to Skip the Exam, A Mother's PUA Diary, her voice before the college entrance exam, where she insisted she wouldn't take it, along with the bills for her idol chasing over the past few years, and the chat logs where she threatened not to study unless I gave her money. All of it was laid out by me. Within half an hour of the post going up, it had over 10,000 views, and the comments section exploded. This daughter is a real ingrate. Her mom works so hard and gets slandered. She spent all her New Year's money on chasing idols and blames her mom. Where's her shame? Her daughter's post was pushed to the obscure section, and the comments section became her public execution ground. The netizen anti-idolization bot directly tagged Jiang Ziyao's studio. Chasing idols has left them with no sense of values. It is recommended that the idol's studio blacklist such dangerous fans. The entire incident escalated completely. Jiang Ziyao consequently made it to the hot trending, with hashtag Jiang Ziyao fans hanging on the top of Weibo for a full day. That evening, Jiang Ziyao's studio issued a statement: "We firmly oppose all irrational fan behavior. I brewed a cup of coffee, a smirk playing on my lips, for the fangirls. This was the end of the world. Unfortunately, I had no intention of stopping. Strike the snake at its 7 inches. In my previous life, I had never known how ugly her obsession with stardom could be. From the day I was reborn in this life, I began collecting her glorious deeds. There are tutorials of her teaching people how to pee funeral photos using her small account in the fan forum, and chat records of her bragging about stalking her idol's schedule in private fan groups. There are also her insults towards Jiang Ziyao's teammates and her spreading rumors about her teammates' scandals. I organized these screenshots and posted them in her idol's fan forum. Title: Come and see the true face of the well-behaved daughter forced into stalker fandom. In an instant, countless fans flooded her daughter's various social media accounts with their comments. How dare a stalker fan pretend to be a victim? You dare to insult our brother for getting plastic surgery. Your idol must have fallen from grace. Get out of the fandom, you stalker dog." My daughter was frantic, jumping onto her main account to rant, calling the opposing fans brainless, accusing them of riding the coattails of her popularity, and accusing netizens of being jealous of her love. As a result, her words ignited a powder keg, and hashtag #StalkerFanCrazy shot to the top of the trending searches. Opposing fans and ordinary netizens joined forces to tear into her. That night, Jiang Ziyao's studio issued another announcement, stating that they would investigate the stalker fan incident and warning that such behavior was illegal. Her main account was besieged by fans, who collectively reported her, leading to her account being banned. The fan support group issued a blacklist announcement themselves, and the fandom declared that she would never be accepted. The fans were the fastest, with many methods, and soon my daughter's home address was exposed. Of course, it wasn't my address, but the house where Chen Xiang lived. Registered under my daughter's school records. I was already in the process of preparing to open a flower shop with a friend in Yunnan. The friend found a flower arrangement teacher who happened to live in the same community as Chen Xiang. In the afternoon, as soon as the car pulled into the underground garage, I heard the familiar sound of an argument. I peeked out and saw the drama unfolding. I'm not going back. I'd rather die. That bitch made me the target of a viral internet insult, and she even hit me. Do you want me to go back and die? My daughter's voice trembled with tears. Dad, you promised me this would be my home. It's all her fault. If she hadn't refused to give me money, I would have bought the VIP ticket, and my brother wouldn't have run off with someone else. The situation is special now. Chen Xiang suppressed his anger. Our home address has been exposed, and those lunatics could show up at any moment. Go stay with your mom for a few days. Why should I hide? They're the ones cyberbullying me, because of the mess you've caused. Chen Xiang suddenly raised his voice. My project is in a critical phase of fundraising, and our home address has been dug up. The property management group is already cursing at us. Do you want to drag the whole family down? The voice-activated lights in the garage turned on. I saw my daughter take a sudden step back, as if seeing her father's face for the first time. I sat in the car, arms crossed, watching the drama unfold. My daughter had finally realized that the father she relied on wasn't as loving as she had boasted. At that moment, Wu Mei stepped out of the elevator in her high heels, pointing at Xiao Qing and shouting, "You jinx, in just a few days, you've turned the house upside down. Our address has been exposed, and the neighbors laugh at us. Are you still going to stay here? Get out now. How dare you insult me?" My daughter lunged forward. "It's you, you're the one who convinced my dad to abandon me, you despicable homewrecker." The daughter screamed and grabbed hold of Wu Mei's hair, and the two of them rolled directly onto the ground. Chen Xiang tried to break up the fight, but Wu Mei's sharp nails scratched his face all over. "Mom," a chubby boy came rushing out of the elevator. It was Chen Xiaojiang. He swung the Lego box and smashed it onto his sister's head. "Don't you dare hit my mom." His daughter kicked him in the stomach with one swift motion, and Chen Xiaojiang burst into loud wails on the spot. What a sin! The old lady, trembling, got off the car and swung her cane, striking her daughter's back. "How dare you hit my grandson?" The garage instantly descended into chaos. Chen Xiaojiang was vomiting, Wu Mei was cursing, the old lady was hitting, Chen Xiang was trying to mediate, and the daughter was screaming. I sat in the car, silently raising my phone to capture the scene, then uploaded it to my Moments with the caption, Chen Family Full Martial Arts Showdown. In the evening, as soon as I got home, the doorbell rang. Peering through the peephole, I saw it was my daughter. Her hair was messy, she was carrying a tattered bag, and her face wore an ingratiating smile. "Mom," her voice was soft and delicate. "I was wrong, I didn't open the door. I really know I was wrong," she said, lowering her head and twisting the hem of her shirt with her fingers. "I want to repeat the year. I'll study hard this time. Please, give me a chance. I want to go to university. Mom, help me, please." Tears clung to her lashes, and her shoulders trembled slightly. She looked utterly pitiful. If it had been my past self, I probably would have softened, but today, I glanced at the calendar on my phone and suddenly laughed. It turned out to be the day the college entrance exam results were released. I opened Weibo and saw fans posting screenshots of their admission to Tsinghua and Peking University. What was even more glaring was that Jiang Ziao had liked this post and replied, "Congratulations, the future is promising," which instantly set off a frenzy in the comments section. I stared at the screen, my cold smile deepening. Her pretense of repentance was devoid of any sincerity. She was still the same. Through the door, I coldly said, "Repeating a grade, you still have to pay tuition first. No money." The sobbing outside the door abruptly ceased. "Open the door." Her voice suddenly became sharp. "What do you mean? I've already lowered myself, and you still want to drive me away? I really want to study. Are you that heartless? Didn't you say you wanted to earn your tuition by yourself?" I asked through the door. There was a loud thud from outside, as if she had kicked the door, and soon the knocking turned into kicking. "Do you think I care about your money? I don't believe I can't survive without you. Just wait and see." She cursed for a full 5 minutes, the door being kicked with loud thuds, and her footsteps gradually faded away. I pulled back the curtains and watched her angry back disappear at the entrance of the residential complex. The next day, her classmate sent me a message. "Auntie, I saw Xiaoqing working at Nightingale KTV. That KTV is run by Jiang Ziao's fans." Accompanying the message was a photo of my daughter, heavily made up, pouring drinks for a table of guests. I replied, "Thank you, Xiaolu. Auntie understands. In my previous life, I treated her as my life, but she treated my life as grass. In this life, all I want to say is, what does it have to do with me?" I started to sell the house, but unexpectedly, a few days later, I received an electronic invitation to my daughter's 18th birthday banquet, sent by Chen Xiangfa. I was puzzled, wondering what kind of scheme this was, but I decided to go and see for myself. On the day of the banquet, I dressed up meticulously, wearing a well-tailored dark green dress and a light makeup that made me look like a completely different person. As I pushed the door open, Chen Xiang's hand holding the champagne froze in mid-air. Wu Mei's fake smile got stuck on her face, and my daughter widened her eyes, staring at me for a long time before she finally recognized me. It was no wonder. In my previous life, I scrimped and saved, unwilling to buy even a new dress for Xiaoqing, and ended up looking like a true haggard old woman. In this life, I treat myself well, exercise, take care of my skin, learn flower arrangement, and have long since embraced a new way of living. The banquet hall was decorated in a gaudy and ostentatious manner, with Jiang Ziyao's limited edition merchandise on the tables, resembling a small fan gathering. The family appeared to be enjoying themselves, with Xiaoqing dressed in her newly purchased sequin dress, posing like a princess. Chen Xiang held a wine glass and stepped up to give a speech. "Today is my beloved daughter Xiaoqing's 18th birthday. Thank you all for attending my daughter's coming-of-age ceremony." He affectionately put his arm around his daughter's shoulder. "Today, I have 2 announcements to make." He snapped his fingers, and a waiter wheeled in a display board covered with a red cloth. "First, I've established the Starlight Culture MCN Company, dedicated to supporting my daughter's dream of stardom." The red cloth was lifted, revealing the company's name in gilded letters, with his daughter listed as the legal representative. The guests let out exaggerated exclamations, and Wu Mei led the applause, while Chen Xiaojiang reluctantly clapped twice. Second, Chen Xiang produced a red envelope with a magician's flourish. "This is your startup fund from Dad." As the daughter took the absurdly thick red envelope, her fingers trembled. "Thank you, Dad." The daughter suddenly turned to look at me, her lips curling in a challenging smile. At the gathering, Chen Xiang approached with a wine glass in hand, and Xiaoqing followed behind, the two of them acting like a well-rehearsed theatrical troupe. Xiaoqing glared at me with venom. "Lu Zhen, how dare you show your face here?" That Outfit of yours, designer dress, designer bag, must cost tens of thousands at least. You spend money on yourself but can't afford to pay for my retake fees. You're a disgrace as a mother. At least Dad cares about me, Chen Xiang chimed in, his tone dripping with sarcasm. You're living the high life now, aren't you, even carrying a designer bag? I thought you were a good mother back then, but look how you treat Xiaoqing now that she's with you. I couldn't be bothered to engage in a verbal sparring match with them. I shrugged. You're both absolutely right. Xiaoqing was just about to speak angrily when Chen Xiang stopped her, saying he wouldn't lower himself to my level and asked her to go toast the bank presidents first. She snorted coldly, turned around, and left, still holding the red envelope, which she shook triumphantly. Only I knew that her nightmare was about to begin. In my previous life, Chen Xiang's company was on the verge of bankruptcy, with tens of millions in debt. In this life, I sent Xiaoqing to him, and he couldn't wait for her to grow up. The MCN company is just a front. With a few tens of thousands of dollars, they could coax her into obediently following their orders, allowing them to register a shell company in her daughter's name to take out loans, leaving behind a mountain of bad debts that would ultimately fall on Xiaoqing. Xiaoqing eagerly flew to another city for a fan meeting, bought the most expensive VIP tickets, rented a support vehicle, and even customized limited edition hand banners worth over 1,000 yuan. In her previous life, she spent my insurance money in the same extravagant manner, emptying out merchandise, booking entire performances, believing she was just one step away from her idol. She also registered a new account and crafted a persona of a wealthy and elegant young woman for herself. Every time there was an offline event, she would treat her local fans to meals, spending generously. She then hired internet trolls to flood the comments section with messages like, "Missy, please take me in," and "This is the ultimate level of fandom," and similar comments. Before long, her followers grew from a few hundred to tens of thousands, making her a well-known influencer in the fandom community. I opened the Enterprise Credit app, and the page showed that 3 shell companies under Chen Xiang's name had completed legal representative changes. The new legal representative was none other than Xiaoqing, who had just come of age. These companies were burdened with several business loans. With millions of loans, Chen Xiang would give her a red envelope of 10 to 20,000 yuan each time. With this money, she continued to fly across the country to attend concerts, buy front-row tickets, customize support light boards, and even rent out coffee shops to host fan parties. At one fan meeting, she spent a fortune on front-row tickets, wore a custom-made gown, and screamed the entire time with a glow stick in hand. Finally, she got Jiang Ziao to nod at her, and he even shook hands with her individually as he left. She was so excited that she burst into tears on the spot, filming the handshake and posting the video to her account with the caption, "Ziao's hand is so warm, our fate was destined." The comments section quickly filled up. "Holy crap, was she picked? Sis is awesome, bro." Shook hands. "Is the official announcement next? Rich lady, take me flying. The young mistress is indeed wealthy." Xiaoqing replied one by one, lost in her fantasies, believing she was just one step away from dating her idol. I scrolled through her new account, sneering coldly. She was stepping deeper into debt, chasing an illusory dream. Unfortunately, when the dream shattered, all that remained were an empty shell of a company and a mountain of debts. A month later, having just sold my house and arrived in Yunnan, I received a long-awaited call from Xiaoqing. At 3 in the morning, the screen of my phone lit up in the darkness. I picked up, and her voice was like a torn piece of cloth, trembling with sobs. "Mom, after the concert, I came back and found Dad, Wu Mei, Xiaojiang, Grandma, all gone. The property management said the house has been sold, and the bank just called, saying I owe 20 million in loans. Mom, what should I do?" She choked on her words, her tone frantic, like someone drowning. "I have nowhere to go. Mom, please, help me." I leaned back on the sofa, letting out a cold laugh. In my previous life, she pushed me off the building without batting an eye, and now she suddenly remembers me. "You can ask your brother to borrow some," I said softly. "After all, he admires you so much." She froze, then screamed, "Are you even human? I'm like this, and you're still mocking me. Dad deceived me, you don't care about me, and you're just going to watch me die." I spoke leisurely. "Whoever tricked you, go find them. Don't worry, I'll send your dad's new address right now. Go ask him for money." After hanging up, I casually sent Chen Xiang's new address to her phone, adding, "Remember to bring a gift." To my surprise, she actually went to borrow money from Jiang Ziao. As soon as I checked the news, the headlines exploded. stalker fan stabs, top star Jiang Ziao attacked. In the video, my daughter squatted in a corner of the underground garage, disheveled, her eyes fixed intently on the elevator entrance. Jiang Ziao appeared. And he appeared with his new girlfriend in his arms. Xiaoqing's eyes went from shock to fury. Like a wild beast, she charged forward, picking up a brick from the ground and slamming it hard against the girl's back. The subsequent scenes were chaotic, security guards rushing over, the girl fleeing by taxi, and ambulances wailing in the distance. I couldn't sleep a wink, clutching my phone the entire time, scrolling through the news, afraid of missing the final act. On the third day, Xiaoqing was arrested at Chen Xiang's home. When the police found her, she was lying in a pool of blood, holding a knife, with Chen Xiang beside her, barely clinging to life with a knife plunged into his chest. Wu Mei, along with Chen Xiaojiang and their grandmother, had gone out to visit relatives, narrowly escaping this bloody ordeal. Her eyes were hollow, and she kept mumbling, "He ruined my life. If it weren't for him making me take on debt, I would have been standing by my brother's side." I turned off my phone and looked up at the flower stand outside the window. The flower shop in Yunnan had just opened, and the sunlight streaming in felt warm, like a new beginning. In my previous life, I sacrificed myself for Xiaoqing's stardom. This time, I live for